In 1994, Reboot, the first ever fully CGI animated show, appeared on TV. 19 years later we have the game Master Reboot, which has absolutely nothing to do with that series, but I never was any good with introductions. This is one of those games that turned up on Steam out of nowhere, but it had a fairly intriguing premise, so I thought I'd give it a go. It's set inside the Soul Cloud. I'll let the game explain what that is.
We are proud to introduce to you the Soul Cloud. Users upload their memories, together with vital personality statistics and traits, to our dedicated servers, where our industry-leading engineers sculpt this information into digital cities, towns and gardens. Upon the user's expiration, a digital soul is created which can relive these memories again and again. What's more, the deceased's family and friends can visit their soul whenever they like, making death a thing of the past.
The game is set exploring the protagonist's memories and discovering who they are and what has happened. Probably due to being an indie game, Master Reboot has a simple art style, but manages at times to make it suitably atmospheric, such as when the light is shining through the trees in a forest. Sadly, it's wildly inconsistent and at other times just looks plain bad, particularly in indoor areas with rooms full of blocky objects, sometimes barely even textured. The library looks particularly feeble. Surely they could have come up with better looking books than those. In gameplay terms, it's basically a puzzle adventure set around a variety of environments representing the different memories. With a couple of minor exceptions, the puzzles are mostly straightforward and shouldn't take too long to solve. There's a reasonable variety of types of puzzle. The trouble is that they don't really seem to integrate into the storyline, and it just feels like a bunch of arbitrary problems stuck in to provide something to do while exploring. I've no idea why I spent my time in the playground performing random tasks in order to collect oversized Trivial Pursuit wedges. The puzzles in the school memory at least have a theme relating to lessons. To add a sense of danger to the exploration, every so often Alma attacks. Oh sorry, it's not Alma, it's Seren EXE, the system's antivirus software, who has taken to hunting you. Hasn't this creepy little girl thing been done to death by now? Anyway, it's disappointing that while the game does manage to build up atmosphere at times, it also then decides to spoil things by relying on jump scares. Or rather the same jump scare over and over again. Oh look, another locker. Here she comes again. When it does it well, it can be tense though, such as in the flying memory, where you need to make your way through a plane while avoiding Seren. While the puzzles are decent, if random, the game occasionally puts in a more action-focused scene, and these are less successful. Dodging traffic in a driving memory was fairly straightforward, but near the end of the game, it starts throwing you into platforming sequences, and the first-person camera and imprecise controls just makes the whole thing awkward. They never took me too many attempts, but they were still annoying, and as with many of the puzzles, they don't really fit into the theme of the game. The story itself isn't bad, but it's not told especially well, nor is there much depth to it. The majority of it is told bizarrely by finding blue ducks holding various documents to reveal memories and uncover the plot. At the end of each section of the game you also get a short plot scene, though for some reason these are shown in fairly low quality 2D cartoon images. You can piece together what has happened from all this, but it's not especially gripping. There are a few weird issues when first starting too. The controls aren't customizable for some reason, and while they were fine for me, if you don't like them, then you're stuck with them. Also, I couldn't get the resolution to change out of its default of 1280x720 to start with. I'd changed the setting in the menu, but the game wouldn't change, even though the setting was showing the correct resolution, no matter how many times I restarted. I ended up having to edit an INI file in order to change the default resolution, in order to play the game at a decent setting. Anyway, Master Reboot isn't a terrible game. It has moments of atmosphere and some interesting ideas, and the puzzles themselves would have been fine if they had felt like they fit in. The trouble is that it feels like a lot of elements that would have been fine separately have just been crammed together. I didn't dislike the experience, but there's not a lot to recommend it particularly either. Though if you're after a game fully playable in Welsh, you might be more interested.
Adloniad, cysur a hapusrwydd I 2 filiwn o ddefnyddwyr bob dydd.